Welcome into Game Day Highlights. We'll solve it inside the NFL Network newsroom, and we begin with breaking news out of Oakland. The Raiders have fired their general manager, Reggie McKenzie, effective today. This news coming to us thanks to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport and reporter Tom Pelissero, both joining me right now on NFL Network. And Ian, I'll start with you. How unique is this situation to have a general manager be fired with still some games left in the season?
I wish I could say it was unique and that we never see anything like this. But the problem is we actually saw it last year. The Browns did it with Sashi Brown firing him mid-year and then actually hiring John Dorsey before the season was out, or right around the end of the season, I believe. And that decision was really made because they wanted to get Dorsey. At this point, there's no GM candidate who, as far as I can tell, would be able to be hired right now. This really was a situation of the Raiders deciding, okay, well, we know Reggie McKenzie is not going to come back. Let's just end the awkwardness right now and give him the decision about whether he wants to finish out the season. My understanding is McKenzie did not. So called his scouts in this morning, told them that he was in fact being fired, and that is exactly where it stands right now. No word yet on what other, if there were other moves that were made, but obviously for the Raiders, this is a odd, different, interesting situation for whoever they hire as a new GM. You do not have full control. John Gruden makes all the football decisions. You'll be serving at the behest of him based on what he wants from players, but you have 100 first-round picks. So there certainly is something that could bring in a top candidate. You just don't have final say, which a lot of the really good top lieutenants want.
This has been something within the league, as you know, Ian, that's really been viewed as an inevitability, that the Raiders were going to be moving on from Reggie McKenzie, that they were going to be restructuring the front office. And the thing that I've heard over and over again in vetting potential fits with John Gruden with the Raiders is that this is not just going to be a job where he wants some scout who's going to do whatever he wants and just come in and just sort of just handle the scouting side. No, he wants somebody who's going to have a strong opinion, someone with a very strong background, a very good executive to help him out on the personnel side, because John Gruden recognizes he needs that type of assistance. He's got game planning to do from week to week. He's got to worry about the actual coaching of the football team, but he does have final say. That impacts what type of candidates are going to be interested in this job, especially because for the second time in about 5-6 years here, this is a rebuild for the Oakland Raiders. Now, Reggie McKenzie leaves behind a quarterback in Derek Carr. If John Gruden is convinced Derek Carr is their quarterback of the future, then the most important position is taken care of. But you look everywhere else on the roster for pass rushers, among other things. There's a lot that the Raiders need. They're also in an unusual situation where they have one more year someplace, likely in Oakland, but someplace that they have to play before they move to Las Vegas in 2020. There's some unusual moving parts there. It'll be fascinating to see exactly what they get. But again, when you're talking about who the next general manager or whatever that title ends up being, this is somebody who's going to need to be able to stand up to John Gruden, who has enough clout as a personnel man that Gruden is going to listen to him, even if the final say on all personnel matters ultimately rests with John Gruden.
Ian, is this a situation where you have a Bill Belichick that's essentially running the show as pseudo general manager and coach on the field, or is this slightly different than that?
Well, there are some similarities because Belichick, like a few coaches, there's a couple others who do in fact have final say. But the issue here with Gruden is not that just that he has final say. It's the sort of the manner in which he has it. And, you know, he does it as he's still trying to learn his football team. He's still trying to get his footing back in the NFL after a decade away. Just doesn't seem to have the time to dedicate to the kind of scouting that you need, which can be handled by whichever GM candidate comes in, but obviously something that when he decided that he wants a certain thing in his football team, but didn't always put in the kind of scouting hours that full-time general managers put in, it can lead to some frustrating situations in the building. There was a lot of frustration in this Raiders building, especially when you consider that it was Gruden who wanted to trade Khalil Mack, wanted to trade Amari Cooper, and then was very outspoken about the lack of talent on the roster.
And under McKenzie, the Raiders drafted 4 Pro Bowl players. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Right now, we'll get you back to Game Day Highlights.